So, staying motivated in sim racing can be tough. Sometimes another driver will wreck you with virtually no consequence. Other times you'll dominate a race, or someone way faster than you comes along and does the same thing. All to say, it's tough to stay motivated in official races. And that's why leagues are the best. Actual officiating, drivers you know how you stack up against, and a way to stay motivated beyond a random 4-digit number. Love it! I've won championships in good leagues on iRacing before, but I'm looking for a new challenge. Wait, why not the biggest challenge? The Area Series is one of, if not the, premier iRacing league. There's incredible talent, lifelike points, schedules, and rules. You're not going to find a much more serious place south of the Pro Series race. That's because we've got a good chunk of current and former Pro Series drivers here, driving the cars they've proven they're the best in the world at driving. But that's not even my biggest challenge yet. The Area Series has team owners and a 36-slot charter system, kind of like the Cup Series, meaning I'll have to convince an owner that I can take the fight to iRacing's finest. Like, how do I even do that? Oh, well, that was easier than I expected. Now that I'm officially on Lucky Ducks, I guess it's off to Daytona. To be honest, this race doesn't take the most prep in the world, especially when you've raced over 1,000 laps at this place. All we've got to do is qualify and duel to set the 43-car grid. 43-car grid? But there's only 36 teams, right? Well, kind of. The 36 charter cars are guaranteed a starting spot in the race no matter how they qualify, but 24 other cars will attempt to qualify into the field, including 2 more of our teammates. Having 2 more cars in the big show with us would be a huge advantage come time for the big dance. So my goals for this race are simple: learn everything I can and help our teammates qualify for the show. And we'd get off to a pretty poor start. Only one of our cars will qualify in the top 15. But at Daytona with duels, that doesn't matter all too much. The big problem is that our heavy hitter Logan got shuffled off to the first duel by himself because he qualified in an odd number spot, meaning the rest of us will have to figure out a way to help our teammates qualify on our own. Garrett brought it home 6th in his duel, which was a very clean race. Then we're up in duel 2. I'm expecting a field of this caliber to put up a similar show here. Oh, never mind, I forgot I'm in this race. Yeah, it's gonna be a long night. With all the wrecks and crazy aggressive moves, it's tough to help our cars that really need it. The 13 moved to the top, which didn't really help his track position situation. This mistake proved to be fatal when he got caught up in a wreck that I just barely squeezed by. Later on, the 78 car, another one of our teammates that needs to qualify for this race, would be in a similar situation as the 13. I wasn't able to let him in line, and almost immediately he paid the price for it. This wreck destroyed the nose of the 78 car and got the 13 more damage, and all but eliminated their hopes of making the big race. So my priority pivots to my other goal: learn everything I can. I get aggressive with my pushes and learn most of the other cars out here can take it. Plus, this new update and setup means the bottom is just as viable as the top. From there, the name of the game was just survival. We had a bunch of incidents and caution laps. In any other race, I probably would have bailed out in a pack that aggressive. But this race is only 30 laps long, and there's no points to lose if you wreck out. With 7 to go, there was a massive wreck on the backstretch. I was able to slow down, then take to the grass to get through. On the final restart, the front few cars break away. I thought I was going to lose touch of the pack, but I was able to break the side draft and get through. As the white flag comes out, I tried to make a push for an outside lane that didn't go anywhere. But down the backstretch, the leaders go 3 wide. I have a huge burst of momentum, and I take it to the outside with the least amount of cars. I get the push off and send the leader further up the track, but I don't get connected to him like I hoped I would. Instead, another car cuts across my nose and turns himself into the wall. This took me out of contention for the win, but I still brought it home in 5th, and another one of our teammates was able to score a podium. Best news of the night is that one of our open drivers was able to race his way into the show thanks to some of that carnage. And our other car will be able to race too, if someone who already qualified in drops out come race day. And fortunately for us, that's what happens. I'm gonna be honest, I'm nervous. This is probably the biggest challenge I've ever had on iRacing. The ultimate benchmark to prove if I have what it takes to race with the best of the best in sim racing. But we've got 100 laps, and I have a chance to silence my own doubt before the season even gets going. We get going, and almost immediately, the outside line completely fails to get going. I'm able to take my 9th place starting spot up to 5th. I've got a teammate 2 cars in front of me, so I hope we can link up and go. The outside line tried to get going a couple times over the next few laps, but they stalled out every time. I thought staying hunkered down on the inside would be my golden ticket, but the outside shuffled some strong cars to the point, and they get a crazy run all the way to the front. My 5th place gets turned to 13th in just 2 laps, and turned into 23rd just a couple laps later. I jumped to the outside line behind my 2 teammates and started to gain positions. Eventually, a 3rd lane got going, but they started to merge with our lane on the exit of 4. Sometimes that can cause you to get shuffled out of place, but I wasn't worried because I got my teammate behind me. Well, dang, I got sent down the gutter. Luckily, another one of my teammates let me back into the line on the inside, but I fell all the way back to 27. At this point, I'm just going to save gas and see if we can gain positions during the pit stops. A bunch of riding the rest of this run. Only real activity was when my teammate, who was the last car in line, almost lost the draft. I had to drag my brake just for him to stay attached, and I almost lost the draft myself in the process. With 14 to go before pit stops, we link up and make a push on the outside. It failed on the first try, but we were able to make up a ton of ground on the second when a bunch of cars migrate to the bottom preparing to pit. I let the first few groups pit, expecting a caution and then a cheap pit stop, but they all kept it together, and I pit with a big group of cars just 2 laps later. But when I come down, there's a huge wreck in front of me. I slow down in time and find a gap through the carnage. I made it through unscathed, but I lost a good chunk of time in the process. As I exit, I finally see how bad the situation is. I just barely missed keeping up with the main pack and end up falling back into a decently sized second pack. At first, we were horribly unorganized. No one was pushing and we were losing a ton of time to the lead pack. Eventually, we get some cars rotating on pushing before they overheat, but all it does is stop the bleeding, not gain any ground. After half a dozen or so laps, I pull out of the lead to see if anybody else can do a better job. Now, fortunately, it improves a bit, and eventually the lead pack falters. They have a little scuffle, but not enough to slow them down, but they do shed a few stragglers. We do our best to get around them, but a group of 2 throws a crazy block and causes the incident that knocks one of our 14 cars we had in this group out. But there's no caution, so we keep going and try to stop hemorrhaging time to the lead pack. Eventually, we catch some lap traffic, but this time, I'm the one losing the pack. I went way too high because I assumed the lap car wouldn't be able to push. At this point, I'm dead in the water, hoping for a lifeline or a caution. Speaking of, where's the caution? How have we gone 75% of the way in a race at Daytona with no caution? I'm forced to pit for fuel on lap 80. I make matters worse for myself when I don't see a car on my inside and turn myself around on pit road. Insult to injury for sure, but it doesn't make the biggest difference in the grand scheme of things. I'm still a lap down and detached from the big pack. Well, my night's basically over. How's the rest of the team doing? The 78 is in the same pack as me, 1 lap down, so not great. Cosman is in a mini pack just fighting to stay on the lead lap, so that's not great either. The 13 and 24 are doing a little better, having something to fight for, but nowhere near the lead. But hey, Logan's still got a chance. Our ace is still in this thing, and he could turn the night around for the team. Dang it! Yeah, he overheated trying to push. We'd all finished where we were running under green. It was a spectacular finish, but ended what was an otherwise miserable night for anyone flying our colors. Literally, one caution that happens in every other race could have saved us, but nope. Daytona is obviously the biggest race of any racing season, but it matters in this series more than any. Area runs off the NASCAR points system, which means if you win, you're in the postseason. Looking at the schedule, I'll definitely be a threat at the short tracks and the 2-mile tracks, but if I had that confirmed and out of the way today, I could have spent the rest of the season learning with no pressure. Winning tonight would have meant the rest of the season would have been a success no matter what. But what can you do? We still got plenty of opportunities, and you'll see me to make the most of them right here. I'm hoping to have these done bi-weekly, but if you want to keep up with the season in real time, you can watch the streams on the IDK Player YouTube channels Monday nights at 9 Eastern. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and go watch me race against Junior, and I'll see you guys in Miami.